Most burnout doesn't look like burnout from the outside. And if you're the kind of leader that I work with, it probably doesn't feel like burnout either. You're still turning up, you're still getting things done, but somewhere underneath all of that, you are running very fast and no one can see it. If that sounds familiar, then this video is for you. I'm Liz Murray, Executive Leadership Coach and founder of Edge of Possibilities. Welcome to Take 5 with me. Last year, 80% of Australian workers reported that they were experiencing burnout. What that number doesn't tell you is how many of those people look completely fine from the outside. How many were managing up, managing sideways, holding everything together, and still turning up to every meeting, looking like they had it all handled. Most burnout doesn't look like burnout. And most of the advice out there completely misses why. So today, I want to bust the common assumption I hear. I want to name exactly what's going on and give you a place to start. By the end of the video, you'll know the real reason you're exhausted, and I promise you it's not what you think. The myth. It's the workload. The most common thing that I hear from leaders is this: if I could just get on top of everything, I would feel better. So they work harder, they delegate more, they optimize their calendar, they read the book about time management, and the exhaustion stays. That's a signal, because if the workload were the real problem, then solving the workload would fix it, but it doesn't. So something else is going on. Here's what's actually happening. There's the work, and then there's the performance on top of the work. Performing calm instead of feeling it, performing confidence instead of drawing on it, and performing capability instead of leading from it. I use the swan image a lot with my clients. Serene above the top of the water, but feet going absolutely flat out underneath. And here's the thing that most people miss altogether. The swan still gets where it's going. The performance works. Nobody sees the effort. But your nervous system knows the difference, even when no one else sees it. That performance layer, the consistent management of how you appear, is what's draining you. Not the decisions, not the meetings, the performance on top of them. And underneath the performance, there are almost always two specific patterns that I see. I've seen them in leaders in every level of organizations and every size. And it almost always comes down to the same two things. The first is unclear standards. When expectations aren't held firmly, people fill the gap with their own interpretation. Now, that interpretation is usually shaped by what they can get away with, not what's actually required. And the pressure from the gap always flows back to the leader. The second is carrying what belongs to others. Every time you absorb a team member's discomfort, pick up their dropped ball, or rescue them before the natural consequence lands, you reinforce a dynamic that quietly drains everyone. You carry more, they grow less capable, and the gap widens. I worked with a leader, I'll call him Merrick, who came to me because he genuinely didn't know what else to do. He was stretched really thin. His managers were pushing back on their workload. His instinct, because he's a genuinely caring person, was to absorb more, take more pressure off. That's what good leaders do, right? Except it wasn't working. The more he carried, the more they struggled. The more pressure they put on him, the more overwhelmed he became. He wasn't sleeping. He was becoming more reactive in moments that he used to find quite manageable. When we sat with it properly, what became clear was this. He had created a culture where his team didn't know what was truly expected of them, not through harshness, but through the opposite. He got clear on expectations. He started holding them consistently. He moved from rescuing to building his team's own capability. He started asking more questions and carrying fewer answers. He's sleeping now and he's present. The whole team is performing. His workload didn't shrink dramatically. What shifted was the weight that he was carrying that was never his to carry. Neither of these patterns is a character flaw. They're patterns, and patterns can be identified, named, and changed. Which one shows up most in your leadership right now? Have a think about it before we move on. So, where do you start? You can't fix a pattern that you haven't seen yet clearly. So, the first step is the one that I wish someone had given me or made available to me years ago, because it's an honest look exactly where your authority is real and where it's quietly slipping. Only 28% of Australian organisations invest in developing their leaders, which means that most people are carrying real responsibility and they're figuring this out on their own. But you don't have to. The Leadership Mirror is a free 5-minute self-assessment, and I built it because I kept looking for something like it and I couldn't find it. It measures 4 things: how you make decisions under pressure, how you hold up when things get hard, whether the standards you set are the ones that you actually enforce, and whether you're carrying what's yours or absorbing what belongs to others around you. Your result places you in one of 4 bands and gives you specific, direct feedback. Not a personality type, it's a clear picture. The link is in the description below. If what I've described today is landing for you, or if you recognise yourself maybe in the swan image or in Merrick's story, the next step is the Leadership Mirror. It's free, it takes 5 minutes, and it will tell you something genuinely useful. The link is in the description. I'll see you next week.